The smoke still hung in the sky like dark curtains after a nightmare. The ground was full of broken machines, blood, and silence. The war between humans and the Tarkin Empire had ended 3 days ago, but the battlefield still looked alive with ghosts of the dead. Sergeant Eli Morgan, a human soldier, walked carefully through the ashes. His armor was cracked, his leg hurt, and his oxygen mask blinked red. He had one mission: find survivors and bring them home. But everyone said the same thing before they left. Leave the aliens. Don't waste time on them. Eli didn't agree. He believed every life, human or alien, was worth something. But in this war, mercy was weakness. As he moved past the burned-out wreck of a Tarkin warship, he heard a faint, strange sound. A weak hum, almost like a whisper through metal. Eli froze. He raised his rifle, scanning the shadows. Then he heard it again, a low, painful breath. Someone was alive. Eli followed the sound inside the wreck. The metal walls were twisted, glowing with heat from recent explosions. He found a small chamber filled with green smoke and the smell of burned flesh. And there, half buried under broken armor, lay a Tarkin warrior. The alien's body was huge, covered in silver-blue scales. Its forearms were broken and its legs didn't move. The alien's breathing was shallow, its eyes half open. It looked like it was dying. Eli hesitated. This was the enemy. The Tarkin had killed hundreds of human soldiers. Saving this one could be seen as betrayal. But when the alien opened its mouth and whispered, "Please help," something inside Eli changed. The voice wasn't full of hate, it was full of pain. He dropped his weapon and knelt beside the alien. "Stay still," Eli said. "I'll try to get you out." The alien's eyes flickered. "No one helps Tarkin." "Well," Eli said with a tired smile, "maybe today's different." It took all his strength to pull the metal pieces away. The alien screamed once, a deep echoing sound that shook the floor. Eli finally managed to lift the last piece of debris and saw the truth. The alien's spine was shattered. He couldn't move. Eli's heart sank. "You're paralyzed," he whispered. The alien turned its head slightly. "Then leave me. That is what your kind does." Eli didn't answer. He looked at the alien's face, covered in ash, blood, and tears. He saw not an enemy, but someone who had fought for survival, just like him. He pressed a hand to the alien's chest, checking its heartbeat. "No, I'm not leaving you." Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. A storm was coming. Eli's radio cracked with static. "Sergeant Morgan, report. We're evacuating in 10 minutes. Get to the shuttle now." He looked down at the alien. 10 minutes. If he carried the alien, he'd be slow. He might miss the shuttle and die here. If he left him, he'd live. But the alien would die alone. Eli clenched his fists. He thought of his fallen friends. He thought of all the hatred that filled the galaxy. Someone had to stop it. Someone had to do something different. He turned off his radio. "Hold on," he said. "I'm not giving up on you." He wrapped the alien's body in a thermal sheet and used a broken hover sled from the wreck to move him. The sled creaked and sparked, but it floated just enough. As Eli dragged the sled out into the storm, lightning flashed above the battlefield, lighting up the alien's face. The warrior whispered, "Why? Why do this?" Eli didn't look back. "Because no one else will." The wind howled, blowing ash into his eyes. The ground trembled as distant explosions echoed in the hills. His armor's warning lights blinked faster. Oxygen low, power low, time running out. But Eli kept moving. Every step was harder. His leg bled through his armor and the storm nearly pushed him to the ground. But he refused to stop. When he finally reached the ridge, he saw the evacuation ship rising into the sky. It was leaving. He fell to his knees, watching as the lights disappeared into the clouds. He was too late. Eli looked down at the alien whose eyes were now closed. "Don't die on me now," he said softly. "I didn't come all this way for nothing." Then, to his surprise, the alien's chest rose again. Weak, but alive. Eli looked up at the storm, his face cold and wet with rain. "All right," he whispered. "Then we survive. Both of us." As lightning cracked the sky behind them, the human soldier and the paralyzed alien warrior disappeared into the darkness, two enemies bound by the same will to live, but neither of them knew that saving this alien would soon shake the entire galaxy. The storm raged all night. Eli Morgan sat inside a broken transport shell, the alien warrior lying beside him. The rain hit the metal roof like bullets. Inside, the small fire he built was weak, barely keeping them warm. The alien's breathing was rough, mechanical. Every breath came with pain. Eli had patched his wounds with what little medkit he had left, but it wasn't enough. The alien's spine was broken. No human medicine could fix that. Eli looked at him quietly. "You're lucky I found you," he said, forcing a tired smile. The alien opened one golden eye. "Lucky?" he said slowly. "My legs are dead. My people are dead. Your army would kill me if they saw me. That is not luck." Eli didn't reply. He looked out into the dark, where the storm hid everything. The silence between them was heavy. Two enemies sitting together waiting for dawn. Finally, Eli spoke again. "What's your name?" The alien hesitated. "Zerath." "All right, Zerath. I'm Eli." Zerath gave a weak nod. "Eli," he repeated slowly, as if tasting the word. Strange sound. Soft. Eli chuckled. Better than "Hey, alien." For the first time, the corner of Zerath's mouth curved into something like a smile, but the small piece didn't last long. A strange sound echoed from outside, metallic footsteps. Eli quickly turned off the fire and grabbed his rifle. Through the cracks in the hull, he saw red lights moving through the rain. Drones. Human drones, scanning for survivors, but not to rescue. The war was over, and Command had ordered the cleansing of the battlefield. Anything not human would be destroyed. Zerath's breathing grew fast. "They will find me," he whispered. Eli shook his head. "Not if I can stop it." He crawled out of the wreckage, the cold wind cutting against his face. 3 drones floated across the mud, scanning bodies with red beams. Eli knew their programming. They would tag and vaporize any living alien signal. He moved behind an old tank, his rifle ready. He had 1 EMP grenade left, 1 chance. He threw it. The flash lit the night sky. The drones sparked, their red lights flickering out one by one. The storm swallowed the sound, leaving only the wind. When Eli returned, Zerath was staring at him with disbelief. "You destroyed your own machines." "Yeah," Eli said, breathing hard. "Didn't like their attitude." Zerath looked at him for a long time. "Why are you doing this, human? You risk death for me, your enemy." Eli didn't answer immediately. He sat down and checked the alien's bandages. "Because you asked for help. That's reason enough." Zerath looked away. "Humans, strange creatures." "Yeah, I've heard that before," Eli said softly. The night passed slowly. At dawn, the storm ended, leaving the air quiet and heavy. The sky was painted red by the rising sun, or maybe by the burning wrecks on the horizon. Eli stood and looked around. He had to move. Their position wasn't safe anymore. He turned back to Zerath. "We can't stay here. I need to find shelter, maybe a comm tower to call for help." Zerath shook his head weakly. "No human will come for me. You will die if they find you with me." Eli smiled faintly. "Then we'll have to make sure they don't." He found an old hover truck nearby, half buried in mud. With some effort, he got it running. The engine coughed like a dying beast, but it worked. He loaded Zerath into the back carefully, covering him with sheets of metal. They drove slowly through the ruins, past dead soldiers and broken machines. The war had ended, but it didn't feel like peace. It felt like the world itself was tired. After hours of silence, Zerath spoke again. "Human soldier," he said. "Do you know what I was?" Eli glanced at him. "A warrior, right?" Zerath's golden eyes glowed faintly. "More than that, I was a commander, one of the 7 blades of Tarkin. We were protectors, but the last battle was not ours. Someone betrayed us. Eli frowned. Betrayed? Yes, Zirath said slowly. A human fleet sent false signals. We thought peace was being offered, but instead they bombed our capital. Millions died. Eli's chest tightened. That can't be true. Humans wouldn't. Zirath interrupted. I saw it. Your ships burned our skies. Eli gripped the steering wheel. He didn't know what to say. He wasn't part of command. He was just a soldier following orders. But if what Zirath said was true, then this war was darker than he ever imagined. Zirath looked at him quietly. You are not like the others, Eli Morgan, but soon you will have to choose between what you were told and what is right. Before Eli could reply, the hover truck's radar beeped. 3 fast-moving signals, approaching from behind. Scouts, Eli muttered. They're tracking us. Zirath tried to move, but his body wouldn't respond. Leave me, he said. You can still escape. Eli shook his head. Not happening. He hit the accelerator, pushing the old truck through the rough terrain. Blaster shots lit up the rear window, sparks flying. He swerved between rocks and burning wrecks, trying to lose them. Then one of the shots hit the engine. The vehicle exploded in flames, flipping over. Eli hit the ground hard. His vision blurred. He crawled toward Zirath, who lay trapped under metal. The alien's voice was weak. Go, before they come. Eli looked at the rising dust. The scouts were close, human soldiers this time, his own kind. But when he looked into Zirath's eyes, he knew what he had to do. He reached for his weapon, his face covered in dirt and blood. I'm not leaving you, he said quietly. The sound of engines grew louder. Zirath's voice trembled. Then today, Eli Morgan, you make enemies of your own kind. Eli smiled faintly, gripping his rifle tighter. Wouldn't be the first time. As the human soldiers closed in, the wounded human and the paralyzed alien prepared for a fight that would change everything. The storm may have ended, but a new war was about to begin. The world was quiet before the storm came again. Smoke floated above the ruins like ghosts. The morning air smelled of iron, fuel, and fear. Eli Morgan stood beside the flipped hover truck, his body aching from the crash. His armor was cracked, his arm bleeding. Behind him, Zirath lay half-buried under the wreck, his golden eyes open but dim. In the distance, the hum of engines grew louder. 3 human scout bikes moved through the valley, their red lights blinking in the fog. They were searching. And soon they'd find him. Eli pressed his hand against his bleeding arm and whispered, Hang on, Zirath. I'll get you out. The alien blinked slowly. You should run. Your people won't show mercy. Eli didn't listen. He grabbed a piece of broken metal and used it to lift the wreckage off the alien. His muscles screamed with pain. Finally, Zirath was free, though his body still wouldn't move. You really are stubborn, Zirath muttered. Eli smiled weakly. You're just noticing that now? The sound of the scout bikes was closer now. Eli dragged Zirath behind a large boulder and covered him with torn metal sheets. Then he crouched beside him, his rifle ready. 3 soldiers appeared on the ridge, their armor clean, marked with the insignia of the human colonial force. Eli recognized it immediately. His own army. One of them shouted, Thermal readings here. Move in! Eli's heart pounded. If they found Zirath, they'd kill him without hesitation. And if they found Eli protecting him, they'd shoot him too. He whispered, Yo, stay quiet. Zirath's breathing slowed. The golden glow in his eyes dimmed. He almost looked dead. Eli aimed his rifle carefully. The soldiers were spreading out, too confident, too relaxed. They thought the enemy was gone. When the first soldier came close to the truck wreck, Eli fired. The plasma bolt hit him in the chest, throwing him back. The other 2 shouted, taking cover. A blast hit the rock beside Eli, showering him with dirt and sparks. He rolled, fired again, and hit another soldier in the shoulder. The third one moved fast, flanking him. Eli ducked, his weapon overheating. Then, silence. The third soldier stepped out slowly, his weapon aimed at Eli's chest. Drop it, Sergeant Morgan. Eli froze. He knew that voice. Captain Rourke, his old commanding officer. Rourke's eyes narrowed behind his visor. What the hell are you doing here, Morgan? You went off-grid. Eli's voice was calm but firm. Looking for survivors? Rourke glanced around. Survivors? Out here? The war's over. Everyone's dead. Eli didn't answer. Then Rourke's scanner beeped, detecting something behind the boulder. He stepped forward, aiming his gun. What's that? Eli's body tensed. Don't. Rourke looked at him suspiciously. Move aside, Sergeant. Eli didn't move. Rourke kicked the metal sheet away, revealing Zirath's body. The captain froze for a moment, eyes widening. You're harboring a Tarkin? Eli didn't speak. Rourke's face hardened. You've lost your damn mind. Command ordered all alien remains purged. You're disobeying direct orders. Eli took a slow breath. He's not a threat. He's injured. He can't even move. Rourke raised his weapon. Doesn't matter. He's the enemy. Eli's hand tightened on his rifle. Not anymore. Stand down, soldier, Rourke barked. That's an order. Eli looked at Zirath. The alien's eyes met his, silent, resigned. He was ready to die again. Something inside Eli broke. He stepped between Rourke and the alien. If you want him dead, you'll have to shoot me first. For a long moment, the two men stared at each other. The only sound was the wind and the hum of the distant engines. Rourke lowered his voice. You're risking your life for a creature that would have burned Earth to ash. Eli's voice was calm but full of fire. Maybe. But if we kill everything that's not us, what are we even fighting for? Rourke's expression changed, a mix of anger and disbelief. You're a fool, Morgan. Maybe, Eli said. But I'm still human. The captain's hand trembled. For a moment, Eli thought he might actually shoot. But then Rourke looked away. You're already dead, Sergeant, he said coldly. Command will hear about this. He turned and walked away, leaving his wounded soldiers behind. Within minutes, the scout bikes disappeared into the fog. Eli lowered his weapon slowly, his heart still racing. Zirath looked up at him. You defied your own leader, Eli nodded. Guess I did. You will be hunted now, Zirath said quietly. By your own kind. Eli gave a tired smile. Wouldn't be the first time. He checked his wrist pad. The map showed an old research station about 15 kilometers east. It was abandoned years ago, but maybe it still had power. Maybe it had tools, maybe hope. He packed his rifle and lifted Zirath onto a hoverboard scavenged from the wrecks. We're moving, he said. Zirath watched him silently for a long time. You could have left me, he whispered. Why didn't you? Eli didn't answer right away. The sun was rising, painting the battlefield in gold and blood. Finally, he said, because the moment I stop helping, I stop being me. The two of them moved slowly across the valley, their shadows long against the broken ground. Behind them, the human army was already searching. Eli Morgan was no longer just a soldier. He was now a traitor, and the galaxy had just begun to notice. But far away, deep in the cold void of space, and someone else had noticed too. A signal flickered on a distant ship. A voice said, Zirath lives, find him, at any cost. The desert stretched for miles, endless and empty. Eli Morgan dragged the hoverboard behind him, the metal skimming over the sand. On it lay Zirath, wrapped in torn cloth and shadow. The sun burned through the cracked sky, and the air shimmered with heat. Eli's water was almost gone. His oxygen filter beeped a low warning. His leg wound had reopened, bleeding slowly into the sand. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. The only thing that mattered was reaching the Nova 7 research station, an old outpost from the early days of human colonization. Abandoned for decades, it was their only hope. Zirath's voice was weak but calm. You are dying, human. Eli gave a dry laugh. Not yet. You should rest, Zirath said. Rest when you're fixed, Eli replied. Zirath studied him quietly. Humans, you burn yourselves to keep others warm. Eli didn't answer. The horizon shimmered with light, a silver glint rising above the dunes. The old station? Finally, it stood half buried in sand, a skeleton of steel and glass. Its solar panels were shattered, but the antenna still reached toward the sky like a begging hand. Eli approached the door. It hissed open slowly, the old AI sensor still functional. Inside, everything was dark except for faint blue lights flickering along the walls. The air smelled of dust and old metal. Eli set Zirath down on a table, then searched the control panels. Power's weak, he muttered, but the medbay might still work. Zirath looked around the cold room. This place. Human-built? Yeah, old colony lab, probably used for xenobiology. Then it may still have healing tech. Eli nodded, already moving toward the med chamber. He wiped the dust from the console and typed in commands. The system whirred to life, lights flickering across the ceiling. System active, welcome to Nova 7 Medical Unit. Finally, Eli whispered. He dragged Zerath's body closer to the chamber and connected the bioscan cables. The machine hummed, scanning the alien from head to toe. A hologram appeared, showing Zerath's broken spine, damaged nerves, and internal bleeding. The AI spoke in a calm voice. Subject non-human. Neural system unknown. Regeneration protocol incompatible. Eli slammed his fist on the console. No, there has to be a way! Zerath's eyes were calm. It's useless, Eli. Even your machines know it. Machines don't know everything, Eli said. His voice trembling, he searched the files. Scrolling through old logs, experiments, reports, encrypted research. Then he saw one folder labeled Project Seraphim Classified. He opened it. The screen filled with images, humans and aliens together, connected by strange devices. Words flashed across the screen. Human neural hybrid interface. Designed for cross-species organ reconstruction. Eli's eyes widened. This could work, Zerath frowned. It's forbidden science. That project caused the first war between our races. Eli ignored him. If it can rebuild your nerves, it's worth the risk. He started pulling parts from the machines. Tubes, injectors, energy coils. Sparks flew as he worked, sweat dripping down his face. Zerath watched silently. You risk your life for something that may kill us both. Eli smirked. Story of my life. After hours of work, the modified device was ready. It looked like a mix of alien crystal and human steel, pulsing faint blue light. Eli hooked it to Zerath's spine carefully. This will hurt, he warned. Zerath gave a slow nod. Pain is nothing new. Eli activated the system. The machine came alive with a deep hum. Blue light spread through the cables, running into Zerath's body. He screamed, a sound that shook the room. Energy surged, lighting up every console. Eli held the stabilizer, trying to control the overload. Hold on, he shouted. Zerath's body arched, his veins glowing under the skin. The light intensified. Then everything went dark. The silence that followed was heavy. Eli stumbled forward, his vision blurry. Zerath? No response. He checked the pulse, nothing. His heart dropped. No! No! He hit the device, sparks flying again. Come on. Then a faint breath. Zerath's chest moved. His eyes opened and brighter than before. The golden glow had turned into pure amber light. Eli froze. You're alive. Zerath slowly lifted one hand. His fingers shook, but they moved. I can feel, he whispered. I can feel my body again. Eli stepped back, amazed. It worked. Zerath's voice deepened. No, Eli. It did more than work. The device changed something inside me. Eli frowned. Changed how? Zerath looked at his hands. I can sense energy, machines, life itself. He turned his head slowly toward the console and the screen flickered on by itself. Your machine listens to me. Eli stared, shocked. That's not possible. Zerath's glowing eyes met his. It is now. Before Eli could respond, the station's alarm blared. Incoming signal detected, human strike team approaching. Eli ran to the console. They found us already? Zerath closed his eyes, focusing. They're not alone. Something else comes with them. Eli looked at him sharply. What do you mean? Zerath's voice was low, almost fearful. A signal, not human, not Tarkin. Something older. Something watching. The ground trembled as distant explosions echoed through the desert. Eli loaded his rifle and looked at the door. Whoever it is, they'll have to go through me first. Zerath looked at him, his eyes glowing brighter. Not just you, he said. Not anymore. For the first time he stood, weak, trembling, but standing. Eli smiled. Welcome back, warrior. Zerath nodded. Now let's see if your people still think I'm helpless. Outside, the horizon glowed with fire as human dropships descended. The battle wasn't over. It was just beginning. The sand outside the Nova 7 station burned with firelight. Dropships tore through the clouds, leaving trails of smoke behind them. The sound of engines filled the air, sharp, hungry, and merciless. Eli Morgan watched through the cracked glass window. They found us, he whispered. Zerath stood beside him, leaning on the table for balance. His body still trembled from the experiment, but he was stronger now. Too strong, almost unnatural. His eyes glowed with a deep amber light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Eli grabbed his rifle and loaded the last energy cell. We can't fight them head-on. They've got air support, drones, everything. Zirath's gaze was fixed on the sky. I can feel their machines, he said quietly. They are loud, full of fear and orders. Eli frowned. Feel them? Zirath nodded. When you used your human machine on me, it changed me. I can hear the frequencies of life and death. Eli didn't understand it, but he didn't have time to ask. The alarm blared again. Warning, strike team approaching, estimated contact in 90 seconds. He turned to Zirath. You can move now. Can you fight? The alien flexed his clawed hands. I was born to fight. Eli nodded once. Then let's make them regret coming here. He moved to the entrance, crouching behind cover. The air shimmered with heat. Sand whipped against his visor as dropships landed nearby. Human soldiers poured out, dark armor, glowing visors, weapons charged. One of them shouted, Sergeant Eli Morgan, step out and surrender. You are under arrest for treason and aiding the enemy. Eli smirked bitterly. Figures. Zirath placed a clawed hand on the wall beside him. The metal under his palm began to glow. I can control the systems, he whispered. They will not enter easily. The lights of the old station flickered, then turned blood red. Doors sealed, turrets activated, and security drones whirred to life for the first time in decades. Outside, the soldiers opened fire, plasma bolts cutting through the dust and smoke. The station walls shook. Eli fired back through a crack in the doorway, taking down one soldier. You sure this defense system can hold? Zirath didn't answer. He was focused, his eyes glowing brighter, his veins lit like molten metal. The floor vibrated under his control. Old defense drones turned toward the humans, firing streams of blue plasma. The strike team ducked for cover. Inside, sparks flew. One of the consoles exploded near Eli, knocking him to the ground. Zirath! He shouted. You're overloading the core. Zirath's voice sounded distant, echoing. I am trying to stop them. But something else is here. Something is calling me. Eli looked up, confused. What do you mean, calling you? Zirath touched his temple. The signal. The one I felt earlier. It grows stronger. It's inside the human network. Inside the command channel? Eli asked. Yes, Zirath whispered. It's not your army controlling this attack. They're being used. The walls shook again. Outside, the soldiers regrouped and launched a heavy missile. It hit the side of the station, blowing open a section of the wall. Eli grabbed Zirath and pulled him behind cover as debris rained down. We have to move now. Zirath's breathing grew heavier. Go, I can hold them off. Not a chance, Eli said. You just learned to stand again. I'm not leaving you behind. Through the smoke, soldiers began entering the breach. Eli fired rapidly, hitting one, then another. But there were too many. Then Zirath raised his hands. The air around him shimmered. A wave of energy burst out, invisible but powerful. Every electronic weapon in the room sparked and died. Soldiers fell to their knees, shouting as their visors flickered out. Eli stared. You just fried their systems. Zirath looked drained. Not for long. Eli ran to him. Then we run, come on. They moved through the back corridors, lights flickering around them. The power grid was dying from the overload. The air smelled like burning wires and ozone. When they reached the main control room, Eli saw something strange on the holographic map, a pulsing red signal orbiting far above the planet. Zirath. Look, the alien's expression darkened. That is not human technology, Eli zoomed in. The shape was round like a massive eye, a satellite but ancient. Its code signature was unknown, Zirath whispered. That's what's calling me. Eli frowned. Why? Because it's not just a machine, Zirath said slowly. It's alive. Eli's eyes widened. Alive? Zirath nodded. Your people found it years ago, something ancient, older than both our races. They tried to control it, and now, it's controlling them. Eli felt a chill crawl up his spine. You mean it's behind the war? Zirath turned toward him, his voice quiet but heavy. Both sides were puppets. The humans, the Tarkan, the bombings, the betrayals, all of it. The eye made it happen. The name hung in the air like poison. Outside, explosions shook the ground again. The soldiers had regrouped. The entire facility was surrounded. Eli clenched his fists. So the war wasn't between us. It was between this thing and everyone else. Zirath nodded. And now that it knows I survived, it wants me back. Eli loaded his rifle. Then it's not getting you. Zerath's eyes glowed brighter. You can't fight something that lives in the sky, Eli, but I can reach it if we find a ship. Eli checked the station's map. There's an old shuttle bay underground. Might still work. Zerath placed a hand on his shoulder. Then we go, together. They started moving toward the lower levels as the lights dimmed. Every explosion above shook dust from the ceiling. Eli glanced at the alien walking beside him. No longer weak, no longer helpless. The one he saved might now be the only one who could save humanity. Behind them, the control screens flickered to life one last time. A distorted voice echoed through the speakers, deep, mechanical, and cold. Zerath, return to the source. Eli froze. What was that? Zerath didn't look back. His voice was low and steady. The eye. It knows we're coming. They disappeared down the corridor, into the darkness below, chased by fire, soldiers, and something far more dangerous than war itself. The old steel door groaned open, revealing a dark tunnel beneath the Nova 7 station. The air was cold and heavy with dust. Faint blue emergency lights blinked along the walls like dying stars. Eli Morgan gripped his rifle and took a cautious step forward. This must be the maintenance tunnels, he whispered. Zerath followed slowly, his footsteps quiet but strong. The glow from his amber eyes lit the darkness around them. This place, it remembers pain, he murmured. Eli looked at him. You can sense that too? Zerath nodded. The machines here, they scream in silence. Your people built this place over something ancient. I can feel its pulse beneath the ground. Eli didn't like the sound of that. Let's just find that shuttle bay and get out before this whole place comes down. They moved deeper into the tunnel, their boots crunching against sand and broken glass. Faded warning signs lined the walls. Authorized personnel only. Do not enter experimental zone. The deeper they went, the louder the hum became, a strange low vibration that rattled their bones. Eli frowned. You hear that? Zerath's eyes narrowed. It's not sound, it's thought. Before Eli could ask what he meant, the tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber. The walls were covered in cables and alien symbols glowing faintly with blue light. In the center of the room stood a large black sphere, smooth and pulsing like a heart. Eli raised his rifle. What the hell is that? Zerath stepped closer, his expression unreadable. It's a shard, a piece of the eye. Eli's stomach tightened. You mean the thing in orbit? Yes, Zerath said quietly. This is how it speaks to your world. Through fragments like this one. The sphere pulsed again, faster this time. A cold voice echoed in the chamber, deep, calm, and almost human. Welcome, Zerath. You have come home. Eli took a step back. Home? Zerath's claws flexed. I am no one's creation. You were never meant to fight us, the voice said. You were meant to lead. The sphere glowed brighter. Images flashed across the air. Battlefields, burning ships, dying soldiers. Both human and Tarkin alike. We gave your people knowledge, the voice continued. We gave them power. And they used it to destroy. They are not worthy, Eli shouted. You started this war. We started balance, the voice replied coldly. Your kind refused it. Zerath's breathing quickened. Eli, it's trying to reach into my mind. Then fight it. Eli said, stepping between Zerath and the sphere. The light turned red. The ground shook. The sphere's surface rippled like liquid metal, and a figure began to form. Tall, faceless, made of shadows and light. Human and Tarkin, it said. Two broken species. But together you can serve, Eli aimed his rifle. Not interested, the figure tilted its head. You cannot destroy me, human. I live in your machines, your weapons, your ships. I am already inside your world. The air crackled with static. The lights flickered. Eli fired, but the plasma bolt passed straight through the figure and hit the wall. The voice laughed softly. You still think in bullets and blood. Suddenly Zerath let out a roar, a sound of fury and agony. His eyes blazed bright gold. Energy erupted from his hands, slamming into the sphere. The room exploded with light. The shadow figure screamed as the energy burned through it. The sphere cracked, glowing with fissures of blue fire. Eli covered his eyes as the chamber filled with blinding light. When it finally dimmed, the sphere was split in half and the figure was gone. Zerath fell to his knees, breathing hard. It's not dead, he whispered. It just pulled back. Eli rushed to him. You okay? Zerath nodded weakly. It touched my mind. I saw everything. The eye was built by neither of our races. It's a machine from before time. It feeds on war, on fear. Eli frowned. You mean it wants us to fight? Yes, Zerath said. Every battle, every death gives it power. It controls your leaders, my commanders, whispers into their thoughts. Eli felt a chill. And now it wants you. Zerath's claws dug into the ground. It needs me, and because I carry the hybrid code. When you repaired my body, Eli, you gave me a part of your species. Eli stared at him, realization hitting. So now you're the bridge between humans and Tarkin. Zerath nodded slowly. And if it captures me, it will connect both our minds. Then it can control everyone. The floor trembled again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Eli looked toward the far end of the chamber. A rusted door marked shuttle access. We're getting out of here. We'll warn someone, find a way to destroy that thing. Zerath stood shakily. There is no warning your people. The eye listens. It watches. Then we don't warn them, Eli said. We fight it ourselves. Zerath looked at him, surprised. You would go against your entire army? Eli gave a small, tired grin. I already did. Zerath's golden eyes softened. Then perhaps humanity still has hope. They moved toward the shuttle bay. The hum of the dying sphere followed them, whispering faintly like a voice through broken glass. You cannot escape me, children of war. The door to the shuttle bay opened with a hiss. Inside stood an old spacecraft, rusted but functional. Eli climbed in first, checking the controls. Still some power left. We can make orbit. Zerath looked at the stars through the cracked roof, to face the eye itself. He paused, his voice quieter now. Eli, if I lose control, if it takes me, Eli cut him off. Then I'll stop you, no matter what it takes, Zerath nodded. Then we fight as one. The engines roared to life, shaking the tunnel. Dust and light filled the air as the shuttle rose from the ground, breaking through the sand and into the sky. Below them, the cracked sphere pulsed one last time, sending a signal into the heavens. Far above, in the orbiting darkness, the eye opened, vast and silent, waiting. The black of space stretched endlessly around them. Stars glimmered like cold fires, silent witnesses to everything that had happened below. The small shuttle rose through the clouds, breaking free from the planet's pull. Inside, the cabin rattled as alarms blinked red. Eli Morgan gripped the flight stick, his knuckles white. Engines are holding, he muttered. Barely. Beside him, Zerath sat still, his golden eyes glowing softly. He looked out the window at the vast darkness. It's waiting, he said quietly. Eli followed his gaze. There, hanging above the planet like a silent god, was the eye, a massive sphere of black metal and light, smooth, endless, alive. It's bigger than I thought, Eli whispered. It's older than any world we know, Zerath replied. It sees everything, remembers everything. As they drew closer, signals filled the cockpit, whispers, voices, static in every language Eli had ever heard. It felt like the galaxy itself was speaking. Eli Morgan? Human soldier, come closer. Eli's blood ran cold. It knows my name. Zerath closed his eyes, his voice low. It knows everyone's name. The shuttle shook violently as they entered the eye's magnetic field. Energy swirled around them like a storm of lightning. Eli fought the controls. It's pulling us in. Let it, Zerath said, his tone calm but determined. It wants us alive. That means we still have a chance. The ship was dragged into a glowing tunnel of light. For a moment there was no up or down, only colors, memories, sounds from 1,000 lives. Eli saw flashes of his past, his fallen friends, burning cities the day he joined the army. And then, silence. The shuttle landed gently inside a vast chamber. It was bigger than any city Eli had ever seen. Towers of glowing metal rose like spires pulsing with life. Zerath stepped out first, his body glowing faintly in the blue light. We are inside its mind, he whispered. Eli followed, rifle in hand. Then we end this from the inside. A deep, echoing voice filled the air. You came to destroy what you cannot understand. Eli aimed his weapon. You started a war that killed billions. I understand enough. We ended chaos, the voice said calmly. Conflict is evolution. Without it, your species stagnate. You fight because it makes you strong, Zerath shouted. You made us slaves to fear. Fear keeps you alive, the eye replied. The floor beneath them rippled. Figures began to form from the walls, holograms of soldiers, both human and Tarkan, marching together in silence. Their eyes glowed white, lifeless. Eli whispered, "What is this?" Zirath's claws tightened. "It's showing us what it wants, unity through control." The eye's voice grew louder. "Zirath, you are the key. You carry both their codes, human and Tarkan. Connect with me, and the war will end forever." Eli turned to him. "Don't listen." Zirath looked torn. "If I merge with it, I could stop the fighting." "No more death?" Eli shook his head. "You'd stop everything. Freedom, choice, life. You'd just make everyone a prisoner." Zirath's breath trembled. "It calls to me, Eli. I can feel its voice inside my blood." Eli stepped closer. "Then remember why I saved you. Not so you could be another weapon, but because I saw someone worth saving." For a moment, the chamber was silent except for the hum of energy. Then Zirath smiled faintly. "You humans and your impossible hope." Eli grinned back. "It's what we're best at." The eye's light flared. "You refuse destiny? Then you will die together." The chamber shook violently. Bolts of energy shot down from the ceiling, slamming into the floor. Eli dove behind a pillar, firing his rifle. The blasts passed through the air like lightning, hitting nothing. Zirath raised his hand, summoning a shield of pure energy. "I can hold it off down for a moment." Eli shouted, "We need to find its core." Zirath closed his eyes, searching the energy around them. There in the heart. "Behind that wall." Eli ran, dodging plasma bursts while Zirath absorbed the eye's attacks. Each strike made him stagger, glowing brighter with every hit. When Eli reached the wall, he planted an explosive charge. This better work. The explosion tore through the chamber, revealing a glowing orb floating in the center, the true heart of the eye, pulsing like a living star. "You cannot destroy me," the voice thundered. "I am in every system, every world." Eli shouted back, "Then let's start with this one." He aimed at the core, but before he could fire, the eye sent a surge of energy that threw him across the room. His weapon shattered, he groaned, trying to rise. The voice boomed again. "Zirath, choose." Zirath stood in front of the core, light pouring from his chest. He looked back at Eli, eyes full of sorrow and peace. "Eli, thank you," Eli's voice broke. "Don't do this." Zirath smiled gently. "If I merge with it, maybe I can stop it from within. Maybe it can learn mercy. From something human." Eli shook his head. "You'll die." "Maybe," Zirath said softly. "But I won't let it use me." Before Eli could stop him, Zirath stepped forward and pressed his hands to the core. A blinding light filled the chamber. The eye screamed, a sound that shook the stars. Energy rippled outward, consuming everything in white fire. Eli shielded his eyes, shouting his friend's name. Then silence. When the light faded, the eye was gone. The massive chamber was dark and broken. Only small fragments of metal drifted in the void. Eli floated alone inside the ruined core, his visor cracked, his oxygen low. "Zirath," he whispered. No answer. He reached into the wreckage and then found a single piece of crystal, glowing faintly gold. He held it close to his chest. "You did it, buddy." Through the cracked window, he saw the planet below, peaceful for the first time in years. The battles had stopped. The fires had gone out. As his shuttle drifted away from the remains of the eye, Eli recorded a message. "To whoever finds this, the war is over, not because one side won, but because one human and one alien chose to save each other instead of fighting." He looked at the golden shard in his hand. It pulsed once, softly, almost like a heartbeat. Eli smiled. "Guess you're still with me." Stars reflected in his eyes as the shuttle disappeared into the vast silence of space, a lone soldier carrying the memory of a friendship that changed the galaxy. And somewhere, far beyond human reach, a faint voice whispered through the stars, "Eli, we are free."